On the last part of Bardock After, instead of being killed by Frieza, he was saved by a Yard Rat and spent the next few months training over there. This led to him surpassing what is considered to be the average Saiyan power, learning instant transmission, and most importantly, wanting to get revenge on Frieza. A story created by young Gigi, this is Bardock After, Part 2. The story begins on a random planet that is home to Frieza's soldiers. Through instant transmission, Bardock has been tracking down the energy of Frieza's army, and ever since he left Yard Rat, he has been slowly exterminating all of Frieza's men. It also says that because of his training with the Yard Rats, Bardock now has a max power level of 1.5 million. As soon as he finishes taking down another Frieza planet, he senses a familiar energy, and it turns out that it's another Saiyan. We get introduced to him, and his name is Papol. He comes from a royal bloodline, a lot like Vegeta, but he's got the personality of Gohan. He mostly does what he's told, and that's why Frieza decided to keep him around, because there was no way someone like Papol would ever rebel against him. When Bardock finds him, he wastes no time in saying what really happened with Planet Vegeta, because up until this point, every Saiyan who was aware at the time was told Vegeta collided with a meteor. Papol is somewhat shaken up by this, but then Bardock asks him to join his side and get revenge on Frieza. Papol hesitates, and he's questioning Bardock's strength because his own power level is around 15,000. As far as these Saiyans know, Frieza only has one form, his first. They aren't aware of his second, third, and fourth. Either way, Bardock shows a glimpse of his power, and to no surprise, the scouter is counting numbers up to 300,000, but then it breaks. Bardock goes on to say that this is nowhere near his full power, and if you come with me, you will be doing all Saiyans justice. So they head out across the planet to take down any one of Frieza's men. Time passes and they eventually do it, but Bardock brings up that some of the Ginyu Force members, or even Dodoria and Zarbon, would be too much for Papol to handle at the moment. So Bardock says that he will train him for 1 month, and with that 1 month of training, his power will increase 10 times what it is now. Meanwhile, out in space, not Frieza, but someone who looks a lot like him noticed that planets around him are being destroyed. The people on the ship are trying to figure out who or what it is, but every time a planet gets destroyed, the power level vanishes. This isn't Frieza, this is someone who works under Frieza, and the planets that Bardock and Papol have been destroying have all been a part of this guy's territory. Right now, they're on Frieza planet number 8, and since a week has passed since they've been training, they have been able to track them both down. Switching back to Bardock, he says something very real, and not something people would usually associate with him. He says that at the rate his power is increasing, he and Papol will have no problem conquering the universe. So if Bardock ever gets revenge on Frieza, that will be his next goal. It really points out that Saiyans aren't good people. Even after everything he's seen Frieza do, Bardock would be willing to do it too if he had the power. That's actually one of the things that makes Goku so interesting. It wasn't until him that Saiyans in Universe 7 really started becoming good. As Bardock is thinking to himself, the two fighters have been sent down to kill him. These guys are around the strength of the Ginyu Force, and it's pretty much your average Dragon Ball fight. Bardock lets Papol fight them 2-on-1 because he thinks it'll be good training. The battle goes on for a while, but over time, Papol starts getting overpowered. This is where Bardock steps in and has an immediate impact. He one-shots both of them, and just like that, they're gone. Papol then comes up to him and apologizes for not being strong enough. Bardock just gives him some words of encouragement and he's good to go. However, Bardock is known for being able to see glimpses of the future, and just as he's talking to Papol, something comes over him. The very next thing he sees is Papol lying in his arms, tears rolling down his face, and eventually dying. That is where part 2 of Bardock After ends. When part 3 comes out in English, I'll cover it as soon as possible because I really like where this story is going. It's showing Bardock as a real Saiyan, vicious and bloodthirsty. Anyway, that was Bardock After part 2. Again, this story was created by young Gigi, the guy who worked on a little bit of Dragon Ball AF. The way this story is going and the way I think it's going to end, I might like this more than the original because it expands on who Bardock is as a Saiyan, and it hints that if he did kill Frieza, he would have been just as bad. But I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next Dragon Ball video.